What do you want to work on when you're in the legislature? That's softball, but you tell me, what do you want to work on?
I want to work on what I call legacy issues, things that will benefit this state for the next 50 years. Let's stop passing a million little bills, a lot of which are symbolic and extreme, to make a statement, an ideological statement, or to protest the federal government. Let's start working on things that are going to change this state. Stan Turley is one of my favorite guys. 5 years of work on CAP water legislation. How we're going to split the water between Tucson, farmers, and Phoenix. That's the kind of stuff I want to work on. Something that's going to make a difference over the next 50 years to 100 years in Arizona.
Now let me put you on the spot.
You got it.
Okay, tell me, what do you think of Governor Brewer's action in relation to the DREAM students?
I think it's an executive order in Washington v. executive order at the state. And we need to, hopefully, at some point we can get this stuff into the legislature and into the Congress and start doing this the right way through legislation and debate versus executive order. But I understand she's frustrated that he issued an executive order, circumvented Congress, and so she did the same thing here.
But are you a supporter of the DREAM Act?
I believe that we need to have a Bracero type program for those who are here, the 12 million people that are here. A guest worker program where those who want to become legal, not a citizen, I'm not in favor of amnesty, but if they want to be here legally, and most of them do, they just want to work, they'll pay their taxes, they'll have insurance, they'll agree to all those things, no welfare benefits. I just want to know a path to be here legally and to function without being afraid.
So you think a path to be here legally, but not necessarily a path to citizenship? Is that what
If they want citizenship, then get, like Mitt Romney says, at the back of the line and start working on naturalization. But in the meantime, they should be able to work if they want to, and if they're criminals, they are not eligible for this. We got to get rid of the criminal element. I'm totally in favor of SB 1070 for the criminals. I think the people that are not criminals should have a chance to do the Bracero type program.
And as far as 1070, I mean, most of it's been enjoined, and we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the rest. The thing is, I mean, you said you support it for the criminals. I mean, should we repeal it? I mean, you mentioned that, in your speech about 1070, not repealing it necessarily, but you mentioned 1070 as being kind of in a negative light. And
that's because I think the next step is a partnership with the federal government. Not at the Supreme Court, but with the White House. A partnership to solve the immigration problem, which is huge and out of control in Arizona. But we can't fight Washington the way we're doing it today. It's got to be a partnership to bring this under control. And I support the Bill Montgomery plan that he's espousing. He's talking about it's control the 285-mile Tucson border, the Tucson sector, which is still not under control. I think we can do that with drones and boots on the ground. I think we need to improve our visa system so it's easier to come to the United States legally than illegally. I think we then have to have a guest worker program like a Bracero program, and those who do not come forward and are eligible because they're criminals, we do SB 1070 that's on the books for what the Supreme Court said we could do, use that to remove the criminals from our country.
And what would you say? I mean, you've worked with in your church as well as elsewhere. You work with people who are here from Mexico and their children. And what would you say to like the teenagers who are here? Maybe they were brought here when they were kids, and they haven't really done anything wrong, and they just want to participate in American society. So, and they're in this like political battle between, like you said, Brewer and Obama. What do you say to them?
I say we move quickly to a long-term solution that Congress and the White House work with the state of Arizona to implement that does those four things. And those kids will be able to go to school, they'll be able to participate in the university level beautifully. People that are here without documents, that are good, hardworking people, that are not criminals, those people just want a path illuminated for them how they can be here legally. They don't want citizenship necessarily. They just want to know, what do I need to do so I can come out of the shadows and be a productive member of this society. Not a citizen necessarily. If they want to go through naturalization, they can go to the back of the line and participate in a naturalization process.
And as you know, one of the issues to jump ahead, jump to another subject, was education. And Pierce got pilloried on the fact that he had cut, it was like 100 million plus out of the state's education budget. Would you be for putting some of that money back into education?
To the extent that we can fiscally do that, I would be in favor of that. However, I believe that my opponent was favoring charter schools over public schools, and that's been frustrating. 85% of Mesa's kids are still raised in the public schools. We need to treat public schools and private schools with the same respect, and not treat one like they're favored children and the others are stepchildren.
Yeah.
And so I would disagree with my opponent on that, and then whatever money that we can afford to put toward education, we need to do that.
And so do you see yourself as part of making Arizona's politics more sane? Because
Absolutely.
there is like so much, we are the butt of every joke.
It's because we've got people trying to get their name on a bill and get the next news cycle and try to stand up for something that's, I think, extreme and not what I would call a legacy bill for our state that's going to make a difference, like Stan Turley's CAP water type bill.
Yeah.
So let's work. I would like to see the number of bills introduced limited so that we can work on big things.